guys, the Super Review Show for another episode of Why You Should Listen To. This is the show I break down artists on Spotify that have low Spotify streaming numbers, or the others are just that great. Definitely check out this artist no matter what, and they're coming back for only 2 shows later this year out of retirement. Okay, I don't think they're going to be retired forever, but Panic at the Disco. This is a band that I really took a long time to find out and really get into, truthfully. I only saw them once on the Pray for the Wicked tour in 2018. They were, Brendan Urie's vocals were just incredible live. So, quick backstory a little bit. It's my senior year of high school. It's 2015, going into 2016. And this new album by this band that I'd never heard of called Death of a Bachelor comes out by Panic at the Disco. I had heard of them, like, just loosely. I had heard of them, like, through people I knew at the time, whatever. And I listened to Death of a Bachelor, and I was like, what in the hell is this? And it just made me go back and dive into their catalog and really get to know this band from Las Vegas in 2005. This was each album was just so different going back into listening to their catalog. If you want to go, just for a quick plug, if you want to go back and listen to our show, we did 2 albums on career retrospectives on our podcast feed and our YouTube channel as well for Death of a Bachelor and then their last album, which was Viva Las Vengeance. So if you really want to get to know that, what our thoughts on Panic are, and just in Brendan Urie, or just the 2 albums, check out our YouTube channel on the career retrospectives part of our show for Panic at the Disco. Brendan Urie's vocals are so strong. He is a true artist, needless to say. Now, back to my story, though. With Panic at the Disco, Death of a Bachelor, I listened to Death of a Bachelor probably, I want to say, about 30 to 40, maybe 50 times in the weeks after it came out. On Spotify, on Apple. Well, no, really before Spotify. I was just listening to it, like, on YouTube. I was like, what is this guy? And then my deceased grandfather, I show him, I let him listen here. I let him listen to the title track called Death of a Bachelor. And he listened to it and he said, his exact words were, "This guy's great." He's passed on, but he's like, "This guy's so great. Oh my God, he sounds like Frank Sinatra." Because of the title track, Death of a Bachelor does sound like Frank Sinatra. If he was at the time, Frank Sinatra was turning 100. He would have turned 100 in 2015. Now he would have been 110 in 2025. Yikes. But yeah, no, Panic. I saw them live. Brendan Urie, I could still see him like screaming like with his high-pitched vocals on stage. This is a great group to get into. Now, I say group lightly because I know there's a controversy amongst the fan base and amongst the people because the last 3 records that he did were just Brendan Urie doing all the instrumentation by himself, whether it be Death of a Bachelor, Pray for the Wicked, and which had High Hopes on it, which was a huge hit for them. I couldn't be any happier with that. And Viva Las Vengeance a couple years later in 2022. This is a great band to get into. They started off as a band, but then it became a solo project by Brendan Urie only. From everything from the lyric writing to the instrumentation to everything about him as a musician and him as a drive. And I remember when the first singles were coming out for Pray for the Wicked, I was like, if Death of a Bachelor is this, I wonder what Pray for the Wicked is going to be. And it wasn't as good as Death of a Bachelor. But needless to say, though, the hit singles of High Hopes, which reached 1 billion streams on Spotify and still climbs to this day. And Same Man, Saturday Night, Hey Look Ma, I Made It. 2018 was a good time for music, really, with Panic at the Disco just thriving. I had tickets to see them again, but I couldn't go to that other date because of scheduling conflicts on my own time. And that's a story for another time. But anyways, Panic at the Disco. Unfortunately, Brendan Urie announced in, I think it was March of 2023, I want to say, when the Fall Out Boy's last release came out, So Much for Stardust, they actually said Brendan Urie put up a post on the Panic account saying, "Hey, want to let you guys know I'm retiring for now." He didn't even say for now. He's like, "Well, I'm disbanding Panic at the Disco after our European tour because my wife and I are expecting a baby and I want to spend time with them." Now, I read into that being like, there's no way he's going to retire forever. Because literally about a year or so later, they announced, "Hey, Panic at the Disco's reuniting," saying we are reuniting for the When We Are Young Festival in Las Vegas, Nevada. And not only that, he's performing all of A Fever You Can't Sweat Out live on stage, as well as other Panic hits. So I knew, I'm not going to be one of the ones to say, like, I was cocky and like, oh, I knew the whole time. No, I'm not saying that. What I am saying, though, is that I kind of knew he would be back at some point. Maybe not with a new album, but they would return at some point because they were just too big. Pray for the Wicked and High Hopes were just so... High Hopes, as a song, charted higher than I Write Sins Not Tragedies on the Hot 100 in 2018. That just shows you how popular they were at the time, too. So, then 2020 hit, the COVID shut down and everything. But no, needless to say, though, I'm giving a lot of backstory about my history with Panic because I really got into them. And his influences are like Journey with Steve Perry, Bruce Springsteen's another one. He actually said that Billy Joel is one of his biggest influences in life, just in general. And he actually had to perform Big Shot at the Kennedy Center Honors in 2013 for Billy Joel when he got honored, which was great. And meeting Billy Joel, I think meeting the president at the time too. I think it was Barack Obama. It's just something. Panic is one of those bands that it took a long time for me to get into. But why should you listen to Panic at the disco? Why should you go back and dive into their catalog? Because I believe they have stood the test of time as far as like bands go in the 2000s and 2010s into the 2020s. Truthfully. Them and Fall Out Boy they're good friends, but some of their fans say, I'm a Panic person. No, I'm a Fall Out Boy person. Or I'm a Green Day person. Whatever. You know, throw that in the mix too. Or Blink-182. Weezer. No, but anyways, Panic is a really solid band to get into. If you've never heard any of their music, just put on like Death of a Bachelor or I Write Sins Not Tragedies. Which truthfully, I'm not the biggest I Write Sins Not Tragedies fan. Like, I'm one of these people for me where when he was playing the song live, it didn't do much for me. And don't kill me as a listener of music for that. I just, for whatever reason, I don't like that song, but I like just about everything else they've done. Because that's the only song they performed off A Phoebe You Can't Spell because it was a huge hit back in the day. No, but needless to say, though, I believe I'm a very strong Panic fan. I saw them live once. I think Brendan Urie's a very talented. McQueen, another one, influenced them. Just an all-around great band. If you've never listened to them, or you hate them, or you just love them, if you're trying to recommend a new band to a friend to get into that may have disbanded and may not done anything in a while, Panic might be that choice, truthfully. So for those reasons and more, that's why I think you should listen to Panic at the Disco. They're reuniting later this year for the When You Were Young festival in Las Vegas. And I know there's a lot of hardcore fans that are like, I can't wait to see the album live, whatever. It's going to be fantastic for them. I'm not going. I'm not really a festival guy, I'm not going to lie. But I'm very curious to see what comes out of that show and the reception he gets if he wants to come back. So, needless to say, though, that's why I think you should listen to Panic at the Disco. So what do you think? Are you a Panic at the Disco fan? Have you heard of them? Have you despised them? Whatever you're thinking there, jump down in the comment section. Please let me know your thoughts out there. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. Don't forget to follow us on our social media pages as well, simply at The Super Review Show. But for all of your why you should listen to videos and many more, keep it locked on The Super Review Show. The J-Man is off to rock. We'll see you guys later.